Well, hello. Welcome to my kitchen. You're at Mimi's Little City Homestead. My name is Dana. And today we're going to look at making panoramic sugar Easter eggs. You can see the little teddy bear inside. This one I'm showing you because it's probably 35 to 40 years old. I started making these when I was a kid, and I made them for all my family members. Made a few over the years and sold them, and they will last forever. This one was blue once, as you can see, probably, if I get it a little closer. It's turned white. The food color eventually just faded out of it. But it has the frosting that I was making at the beginning of this video, and it's called royal icing. It's the same kind of frosting that you use when you make gingerbread houses. This stuff turns hard and it lasts forever also. This is how we put the eggs together and how we glue the things down on the inside. And in here I have 2 cups of sugar, and I used the baking sugar. This is the really ultra fine, almost powdery type of sugar, and that'll give you a nicer finish for your egg. You can use regular sugar, and I have done that many times, but I just think that if you want, if you want to make one that's going to last a while and look really nice, you might as well go with that super fine baking sugar. And then in order, I'm going to color this one. Most of them I leave white anymore since they turn white eventually anyway, but I'm going to color this one. And the way we do it is to take your water, and I have 4 teaspoons of water here for my 2 cups of sugar. And I'm not going to use all the water, but I wanted to have enough. And then I put the coloring in the water rather than putting water in the sugar and then trying to color the sugar. It's a lot easier this way. So I'm going to pour in, I think about half of that will be 2 teaspoons of water. And you can see it's just sitting in there, kind of underneath all that sugar. And take your hand and go around inside the bowl with the water and kind of keep mixing that together, the water and the sugar, until it comes together and looks like wet sand, like the same consistency as what you would make a sand castle out of. So for this, I have a plastic mold, and you can get these anywhere, especially at Easter time. They have them at all the craft stores. You can also use, if you have any of the candy egg molds for making like chocolate eggs. See, when I squeeze this, it's kind of holding shape in my hand, and that's what we want. We shouldn't have any kind of problem with putting it in the mold and getting it to come out of the mold. And these are really easy to make. They're a lot of fun. You can put anything in them. This one I'm making this one for myself, and then I have 4 white ones that I'm making for my grandkids because I've never made them one yet. And we're going to do that. I didn't have time to get it done before Easter, but I think they'll still think they're a lot of fun and very cute, and they'll be keepsakes for them to have. So there's my sugar. It's all mixed up pretty well. So what we're going to do with this is take the plastic egg, and I just have one that I picked up. I think this was from Michael's. It came just in a plastic bag by itself, and it's got the flat bottom on it, so our egg will sit like this, and you'll look in the end just like the one I showed you. There are some that have flat bottoms here, and you can put the hole in the front, have them stand up, and then have your little decorations on the inside and just look through the hole. But this is more of a peep egg that you have to hold up and look into. Okay, so I don't think you'll be able to see me, but that's okay. I want you to see how we're going to put these eggs in the mold and how we're going to unmold them. So I have 2 pieces of cardboard, one for the top and one for the bottom mold. And then I have a really heavy baking pan. This is a cookie sheet. It's a little large, but it's heavy duty. So when I put this in the oven to dry my eggs, it's not going to do one of those numbers where you sometimes will put cookies in and you hear a pop, and then you look in and your cookie sheet has kind of twisted And we don't want it to do that because that could possibly send one of our eggs to collapse. I'm going to take the top mold, which is dry, and take a handful of my sugar and put it and press it in this mold. And I'm looking to get it to be about anywhere from 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch thick. And I don't fill the whole egg solid. I'm going around it. Let's see if you can see this while I do it. I'm going around it and then just pressing the edges in around the circle. Build that up a little bit. Add more sugar if you need to in spots, because you can always take some out. And just press with your thumb to kind of make it a solid wall of sugar inside this egg. Press on the bottom also, because it's just like the outside edge of the egg. You want the bottom to be firm. And go all the way around the whole edge of the egg, even in the front where the peephole is going to be, because I'll show you in a minute how we're going to fix that. Okay, so now that my edge is ready to be evened off, I'm just going to take a flat knife and go right across it and even it off with the edge of the egg. And it doesn't matter if a little bit falls inside, because that will fall out when we unmold it. Then we're going to take the tip of a spoon, and I don't know if you can tell, but this is the top of the egg, or the narrow part. This is the wider part. We're going to look through this end, so we're going to take the spoon and just press it into the egg and scoop out sugar. So now we have a peephole. If it's not exactly straight, it's okay, because you can fix that when we decorate it. But you want to try to get it as close to the shape you want it and as big as you want it. And mine is about that big. So the next thing to do is to take your piece of cardboard, move your tray out of the way, put your cardboard over the top of your egg, and then flip it fast, and also kind of give it a little bit of a tap as you do it, and you lift off the plastic shell, and there's your egg. So I'm going to put that on my cookie sheet, and we'll move on to the bottom part of the egg. So same thing, take your sugar, put it inside the egg mold, press it in there with your thumbs all the way around the egg, all the way to that top edge, just like we did before. And make sure that you remember to press down on the bottom of the egg. Okay, so I've got it all packed in there. It's hollow, but it's packed in. And again, we're going to take our knife and just level it off to the edge of the mold. Then we're going to take our spoon and go down to the narrow end and just push the spoon in and remove. This one's not see-through, but you can see I removed the peephole. Flip your egg over and kind of tap it at the same time gently, but don't be too soft. Lift up the mold, and there you have it. These are going to bake. Let's see if I can get you up here where you can see me now. These are going to bake in the oven at 100 my oven goes to 180, I think, is the lowest it'll go. If you can get it to 150, 170, that's better. 180 is fine. That's what I do mine at. But I'll set the oven at 180 and I'll put the egg in for 10 minutes. So while those are baking, I did want to come back real quick and show you that this egg mold, compared to like the size of my hand, it's about a medium-sized mold from most that I've seen. I made both halves, and I still have enough sugar out of the 2 cups that I originally mixed to make probably another egg. So I didn't want to start with 1 cup of sugar and not have enough, because if I'm coloring it, I want to be a consistent color. So I went with 2 cups, and I thought if I have enough left, depending on how thick I press the sugar in and how much I use, I can probably make 2 pink ones. So after those come back out of the oven and they're dry, we'll come back and I'll show you the next part. Okay, we're back, and the eggs have been baking in my oven 170 for 10 minutes. Then I shut the oven off and took them out and let them sit for maybe another 15 minutes. And you can hear they're solid. So they're already, you can let them set overnight if you want to make sure they're extra dry. I don't do that normally. But this is our bottom, and you can see there's some cracks in the bottom the way that it baked, and that's okay because we're going to cover those. So to get started, to fill our egg, I mixed up our royal icing at the beginning of the video. This was, and I'll put these recipes down in the description. This was 4 cups of powdered sugar. And then I used something called meringue powder, and all that is powdered egg whites. You can get it, I believe you can get it at Meijer's, Walmart, any of those places where you buy the Wilton supplies. Or you can order it off of Amazon, which is where I got mine. It just takes this, powdered sugar, and water. I think 5 tablespoons of the meringue powder, and then it was 1/3 of a cup of water. And then I mixed it in my KitchenAid with the whisk until it looked like it was fluffy, like I showed you, but would hold peaks, because you're going to decorate and glue your egg together with this. I'm going to put roses on top of the egg. And if you don't, you can still do the outside edge of it, and on the top part of the egg, rather than putting like royal icing roses on it, you can buy silk flowers, you can buy already made roses, and you just glue it on with your royal icing. So however you choose to do that, but if you have basic skills in cake decorating and you can make a rose, that's usually what I put on mine, and they're pretty and they harden. But, you know, the silk flowers would be just as pretty, I think. I picked these up at the craft store, and they're really cute. They got real little straw hats on, mama chicks. And then I picked these up, which are just the little fuzzy chicks like we've seen before. And then I have Easter grass, that's paper. You could also use royal icing, and there is a cake decorating tip. I don't know how well you can see that, but the little tiny holes around in a circle. See if it gives me a tip number on here. 135. But I'll figure it out and put that in the description too. This is called a grass tip, and it makes it look like little grass. But I'm going to use the easier method that I recommend, and that is the paper Easter grass. You can use the shiny plastic Easter grass. You can use anything you want to. You can use the edible Easter grass, but I don't recommend eating these. Although there's nothing in this egg or the frosting that you can't eat, they're not that good. So first what I'm going to do is take this tip and just put inside the inside of the egg on the bottom enough of this to hold on to my Easter grass. And I just put these in a baggie. I do have some plastic decorator bags, but baggies work just as well if you've got any Ziplocs at home. I just cut the tip of the corner of one of them off, put my tip inside, and filled it with my royal icing. So I have enough royal icing in here to hold on to my Easter grass, which I'm going to just kind of ball up a little bit so hopefully no big pieces stick up. Stick that down inside the egg like glue. And then maybe trim any pieces that kind of stick up funky that you don't want in the way of what you want to see. I would just trim those off with scissors. Make sure it's not blocking your little peephole. So there we have the Easter grass. And I am putting in the mama chicks. So I'm making a spot in the back for her, and then a spot in the front for the baby chick. I'm going to put the little pink baby chick. There's a lot of things that you can do with them, but basically this is the mama and the baby, which I'm going to try to move her over a little bit so they're not standing in front of each other. Another thing is little silk flowers. Like I said, you can use those on the top, or you can use these inside your egg for a little bit of extra something. And you may have to hold on to it for a minute, but I'll put a little bit of a dot behind the mama, and then we'll put the little flower in there next to her. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can put in there. Glue the egg top to the egg bottom. And you want to make sure anything you do put inside your egg isn't too tall, because depending on how thick you made your shell, you may have more or less room inside. I'm still using this tip, and I will put this tip down in there too. Well, it'll be the border tip. I'm using that to glue the bottom in, to glue the grass in, the little chickies in there, and I'm going to use it to put the outside part together by taking it and just making a thin, real thin line. Then you're going to put your top together to your bottom and make sure you've got it in the right place and it's not crooked, because this doesn't dry super fast, but it does dry fast. You smooth off anything on the outside of your egg like that, and just take it off and set it down and let it rest for just a couple minutes. When you're working with this frosting, you want to keep a damp paper towel over the top, or I've got my Tupperware lid I put on top of mine, because it'll dry out really fast. You have about 3 days max to use it. So if you're not going to use it the same day as you make your egg, you might want to hold off. Make it the next day when you're ready to decorate. After a couple of days, the stuff loses the ability to be used in a piping bag. And you can't whip it back into shape. You can't put it back in the mixer. You can't stir it with a spoon. So here we have our egg with our chick in there. There's our big pink chick, and in the back is Mama in her blue hat. And while this is still, because it is kind of sticky, even though it's not totally dry, if you're careful, you can go ahead and put your border around the egg and around the outside where you're going to look in. Going to just put a shell. It's easy to do. You start out in the front, kind of go backwards, fluff it up in the front, and just stay on that line where you glued your egg. You're going to cover that whole seam up. And as you can see, the stuff is pretty stiff. So you're able to continue on around it, make your little border. It's not very hard to get the hang of that. So there I have the border going all the way around the egg. The next step would be to put the border around the opening of the egg in the front, which is going to be the same thing. And I'm going to just go around the hole to kind of cover up the unevenness, if there is any, where you cut your hole out with your spoon. So there you have the front done the same way as the border on the side. Pretty and handmade by you, and it'll make a really cute gift for anybody you want to give it to. They'll love it. Everybody always loves these eggs. So in this bag I have the pink icing, and I have the number 104 rose tip. And I'm going to start out on a nail with no paper. So I start by holding the tube with the wide end down and the narrow end up, and then make kind of a little cone on here that will be the center of the rose. And then I go around the outside and I put my leaves on as I'm turning this nail. This is a rose nail. And just keep adding however many rows you want. Then I'm going to take a thin knife and go underneath the rose and help it onto the top of the egg. By using the same tip, the same tube, and making little rosebuds, which is a curl and then a leaf in front. And then you're going to put your green leaves on here, so that'll make it look even more like a rosebud. So then I have a leaf tip. I'll try to lift this up and see if... So the next thing you want to do is put your leaves on. I've got my green with my leaf tube, and I will put in the description what number my leaf tube is. And I'm going to put some green around my rose and my flowers on top. So then you have your flowers on top, your rosebuds, your leaves. You've got it all decorated. Once it sits overnight, it's really going to be super dry, and so will the decorations that we have on it. It's pretty sturdy, and it's all done. You can put it in a bag, a Ziploc bag, if you're worried about it. The sugar is what helps preserve it once it gets hard. That egg that I had that I showed you before is probably 40 years old. So they will last quite a long time. They're not that hard to do. Once you practice on them a little bit, they're very easy. You can write their names on the side. Remember the old-fashioned chocolate candy you used to get where your name would be written on the side on top of a chocolate Easter egg? So you could make one for each of your kids or your grandchildren or your friends. Write Happy Easter on the side, put their name on it. You can date it so they'll remember when you made it. I hope this inspires you. And believe me, I started making these when I was like 14, 15 years old. And if I could do it then, I know you can do it now. It's a lot of fun. And I hope you enjoyed my video. Maybe next year you'll do some too. In the comments below, let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, and share my video. That helps me, but it also shows other people that these kind of things are fun and easy. And I'll bring you back some fun old-fashioned Easter ideas. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you later.